Thanks, Erin. Yeah, I feel like I've been at Nemours for forever, and I am forever indebted to um, Estelle for the MRDA award because I think that really took me on the path that I'm on today. And I'm happy. I was really struggling to figure out, Julia knows, like what topic to present today because I wear several different hats at Nemours. But I figured for like a 5-minute presentation, really talking to you guys about a new resource that's available for you as investigators would be the best route to go. But just as sort of background for those who don't know me, I am a pediatrician by training. I now direct the Healthy Weight and Wellness Clinic um, at the hospital, which is a interdisciplinary pediatric obesity clinic. Most of my work is around pediatric obesity, especially sort of stakeholder engaged research addressing psychosocial determinants of obesity, although I work in a few other different spaces too. Um, I currently have one of the COBRE Research Project Awards. Um, I also wear hats with the ISPCTN. Um, and so if anybody's interested in any of that, I'm happy to talk about it. But again, I figured for um, a 5-minute talk, talking to you guys about a resource that's coming up would be the best way to go. So I'm going to be talking about the clinical research unit that will be available in February at Nemours. Next slide. So the mission of the clinical research unit is to provide a state-of-the-art outpatient facility that enables clinical research investigators to conduct high-impact, high-complexity, cutting-edge pediatric clinical research. Next slide. As I mentioned, the plan is for this to be opening up in February 2024. You can see here the location of the planned unit at Nemours Children's Health Hospital in Wilmington, Delaware. So you can see that if you go through the outpatient lobby and then you take a left through like the main hallway past the labs, you'll go to where like the ER used to be for those who were here back when the ER used to be over there. And that's where the new unit is planned to be. Next slide. This is the projected floor plan. So you can see that there's a waiting room, a consult room, there's a workroom with some computers. There's a bathroom, there's a lab processing room, there's a clean supply and a soil supply room. And then there are 4 exam rooms, one of which is also an infusion room. Yep, and so that's kind of the floor plan for the CRU. Next slide. These are just some mock-ups of what these rooms might look like. So this is the waiting room and consultation room. Next slide. This is the workroom in the hallway. Next slide. An example of the infusion room. Slide. And then the clean supply and lab processing rooms. Next slide. And we are still working out some of these processes. So part of coming to you today was either to present to you what the process would be, but since we're still working on some of these processes, also welcoming your feedback as clinician investigators who we hope will use this clinical research unit. So feel free to ask questions, offer suggestions, because we're still working through some of this, and your feedback is really valuable. So the idea for, if you want to use the CRU is that a question on the ITP form will ask whether you want to use the CRU or not. If you say yes, you'll get an email with a brief application to complete. It's like a 5-minute REDCap application. We'll link it to your ITP application. So any questions that are asked on the ITP, we'll have access to, and you won't have to like re-answer those questions again. And the application is really reviewed not so much for scientific merit. We know that it's going to undergo scientific merit review and IRB review, but the review for us is really just making sure that um, the study is aligned with the CRU's mission, um, and whether we can feasibly implement it with CRU resources. Um, so definitely prior to obtaining funding is a great time to ask for, use of the CRU and state that you want to use the CRU. Obviously, if you already have funding or after funding, you're like, oh, actually, the CRU would be really helpful. You can always fill out the application outside of the ITP. And for both cases, we would want a full protocol and IRB approval before you're actually able to access the CRU and schedule within the CRU. Next slide. So I think this is probably the most important part, and I really tried to tailor this, I think, to like what I thought as an investigator was most helpful about the CRU. And so I think hopefully this resonates with you. Um, So I think the first thing is space, right? We know that space is at a premium at the hospital or in your clinic areas. Or for those of you who don't work in the clinic, even trying to get a space is really challenging. Um, and so just the fact that we have space where you can actually conduct your research visits and aren't like worrying about like clinic workflow or hindering clinic workflow or, hindering revenue that's coming in from like clinical care, that I think that's the key thing is to have this really dedicated space is really great. In addition, the space is going to be staffed with a medical assistant to begin with to get things like vitals and anthropometrics. But eventually there is a plan in the next few years to also add in a research nurse and coordinator to the CRU as well. Um, Services that are offered, so like I mentioned, vitals, anthropometrics, um, lab lab draws and processing is also available in the CRU. There's going to be an EKG, a spirometry machine. And then, like I mentioned, ability to do infusions for like PK studies or IV medication studies, things like that. Um, Another way that the CRU can help you is it can look good to sponsors, right? For you to say, like, there's this dedicated research unit where I can conduct conduct my study. Um, and so, if you do this during the ITP process, the idea is that we would provide a letter of support to you, um, saying that, the CRU is available to you to use as an investigator, which I think can really strengthen any kind of grant proposal or anything that you put in. Um, and then the final thing is that it's going to be linked to Epic. So, scheduling for the CRU will be in Epic, but that also helps facilitate things like documentation, billing, lab orders, medication dispensing. All of that can sort of be tracked in Epic as part of your research visit a little bit more easily. Next slide. And that's it. Um, Again, open to suggestions. We're still, fine tuning processes. We're hoping to have, more communication come out sort of in February about this and maybe even do like an open house. But any sort of questions or suggestions you all have, again, we're hoping that you are the prime users, right, of this CRU. And we're hoping that it can be helpful for you. Um, so yeah, happy to take any questions about this or anything else.